What does 13 mean to bikers? Why do bikers tattoo the number 13 on their skin or stitch it onto their leather? Why do the Mongols, pagans, vagos, banditos, so many 1% clubs all over the globe represent this number on their colors? What if I told you that some of it is tied to the Mexican mafia? What does 13 really mean in the biker world, and why do the wrong answers get people hurt? If you're ready to know the truth, let's get into it.
We run the night, we run the night, run.
Let's start this off in the home of 1% culture, and let's take it to Southern California and talk about the Mongols MC. M is the 13th letter of the alphabet, and you're gonna see this running theme with the different ways MCs use it. If you don't know about the culture, everything is coded, numbers that represent letters most of the time. And in this situation, the code points straight to the Mongols Motorcycle Club. The 13 represents the M for Mongols, the same way the 81 represents the Hells Angels, or 22 represents the Vagos. The exact dates that these codes were created are still a mystery, but the Mongol story started in 1969. A group of Latino veterans had just come home to Montebello, California. They were battle-tested, loyal to each other, and looking for a brotherhood that matched that war-zone bond that they shared overseas. Some say they tried to join the Hells Angels, the biggest outlaw MC on the scene at the time, but they were turned away because they were Mexican-American. In my interview with George Christie, former Hells Angels president, who has a lot of years in the game, 40 plus, stated that that's not true because the Angels had Mexican members at the time. Either way, they created something of their own. They chose the name Mongols, a nod to Genghis Khan, the ruthless conqueror who crushed empires. It wasn't just a name, it was a message. We're not asking for permission, and it was built on loyalty and defiance. From the start, the Mongols were militant and strategic, inspired by military structure and hardened by the streets of East LA. They rode heavy, they rode deep, and they represented a culture that had been shut out of the game. And as the club grew, so did its presence in conflict zones, from beefs with the Hells Angels to federal takedowns and RICO indictments. The government saw them as one of the most dangerous MCs in the country. But inside the club, they saw themselves as brothers who had to fight twice as hard just to be seen as equal. Now here's the other meaning that ties into other clubs in SoCal involving the number 13. With so many members coming from Mexican-American communities, many end up in California's prison system. A new layer was added to that M, one that doesn't just represent the Mongols, but something even darker and deeper behind the walls. That story belongs to La M, the Mexican Mafia, and that's where we go next. Behind the wall, the number 13 carries serious weight, and one of the most direct and confirmed meanings comes from its connection to La M, the Mexican Mafia. In Spanish, La M literally translates to the M, referring to the 13th letter of the alphabet. That letter and that number became a symbol of one of the most powerful and feared organizations in the United States prison system. Now, because of how much influence they have in California prisons, all Latinos run under them, and all these clubs have strong Chicano roots out there. So when they get locked down and do prison time, they fall under that 13. Now, this is what is said about them. The Mexican Mafia was founded in 1957 at Dual Vocational Institution in Tracy, California. It was formed by a group of Mexican inmates, led in part by Luis Huero Buff Flores, with the intent to create a united force that would protect its members within the California Department of Corrections. At the time, racial tensions were high and the prison system was controlled by racial politics. So they quickly rose in power, dominating other groups inside the prison system. What began inside expanded outward, influencing Southern California street gangs across major cities like Los Angeles, San Diego, and Santa Ana. The number 13 became the symbolic signature of their control. On the street, the number is used by affiliated Sereno gangs who operate under the Mexican Mafia's influence. These gangs identify with the number 13 as a representation of their Southern California roots and their loyalty to the Mexican Mafia. In contrast, the Northern California gangs, who align with the Nuestra family, use the number 14, referencing the letter N. The use of the 13 in context is not subtle. It appears in tattoos, graffiti, and coded language. In the prison system, falsely claiming 13 or misusing it without real affiliation will end badly. La MA has been the subject of multiple federal investigations and RICO indictments. Its reach continues to extend beyond the walls, using outside Sereno gangs to carry out its operations and maintain control of neighborhoods across Southern California. Next, we move to the outer circle of the outlaw world, where motorcycle clubs begin to use the number 13, not for prison politics, but as a symbol of their position in a different kind of hierarchy. So let's talk about support clubs. In the outlaw motorcycle club world, support clubs play a critical role in maintaining the strength, presence, and influence of dominant 1% motorcycle clubs. These support clubs operate independently in name, but their loyalty lies with the dominant club that they're aligned under. They do not function on an equal ground. Instead, they serve as the minor leagues, but still nothing to play around with, and some actually make it to the level of like a brother club. These are the people that will make the move when the diamond puts out the order. Support clubs typically have their own patch and club name, but their colors, symbolism, and territory often reflect that of the dominant club they back. The number 13 diamond patch in some cases is worn by support clubs depending on the regional politics and structure of the dominant organization. It's an eternal form of loyalty to the mother club that blessed them. This is not universal. Not all dominant clubs use the number 13 in their symbolism, and not all support clubs wear it. In some regions, wearing the 13 without the dominant club's permission can result in patch pulls, and you know the rest. Support clubs are often a pipeline into the dominant club. Members prove themselves through years of loyalty, discipline, and service to the club's goals. They may assist with event security, enforcement, or managing club business in lower profile regions, but make no mistake about it, support does not mean equal, and protocol always comes first. So when a support club member wears the number 13, it's not just a number, it's a signal, a message saying, I ride with the ones you don't want problems with, and I earn this. But that number can't be self-assigned in the MC world. If you didn't earn it, you better take it off. Real quick, if you enjoy MC culture content, smash the like and the subscribe button. Give me a pound wherever you're from, and get your Ghost of Ellie mask, shades, Demons Row snapbacks in all colors, tank tops, crew necks, track races. We got it all, and you can get it on www.demonsrow.com. Let's get back into it. Now let's talk about the 13 and the mother chapter. In the outlaw motorcycle club world, the number 13 carries power. For some, it represents the mother chapter. And if you're new to the culture, mother chapter is the original charter, the birthplace of the club, the first patches, the first votes, the first rides. That's where everything started. And to this day, that chapter is often still seen as the heartbeat of the whole organization. So since it's the 13th letter of the alphabet, in this context, M stands for mother. But here's where it goes deeper. In some clubs, you don't have to live in the same state as the mother chapter to be part of it. That patch isn't just about the location. You have a 13 diamond in a 1% club, you are one of those guys, the elite. Being patched into a mother chapter when you're from a completely different region is one of the highest honors you could earn in an outlaw motorcycle club. Now let's talk about the beginning roots of the 13 and the outlaw racing clubs. Before the number 13 became a symbol of rebellion or outlaw identity, it had a different meaning, rooted in motorcycle racing history, specifically in Southern California. In the early post-World War II era, there was a clear divide between AMA-sanctioned motorcycle clubs and emerging outlaw clubs who didn't want to follow the AMA's strict rules. These non-sanctioned clubs were still heavily involved in racing and were known for dominating on the track, raw, loud, and fast. According to historical accounts, there was a time when the top 13 outlaw motorcycle racing clubs in SoCal were recognized in the scene, not officially by the governing body, but by reputation and respect. These were the clubs that consistently showed up, raced hard, and made their presence known. Being considered one of the top 13 meant your club had earned it on the pavement, not through votes, but through actions. The number 13 started showing up on patches worn by members of these elite racing clubs, not as a code or a prison reference, but as a badge of honor, a way of saying, We are one of the hardest hitting outlaw clubs in California and mark distinction, speed, and legacy. It's important to note this wasn't a formal organization or committee. There was no official patch that said top 13, but within the culture, that number started to carry serious weight. And over time, as these clubs evolved and the outlaw scene hardened, the 13 would take on even more layered meanings. Now let's talk some more OG, and let's talk about the 13 Rebels. The phrase 13 Rebels isn't a symbolic term, it's the name of a real documented motorcycle club with deep roots in American biker history. The 13 Rebels Motorcycle Club was founded in 1937 in Southern California, long before the term 1% even existed. They were one of the earliest known outlaw motorcycle clubs in the United States, predating the Hells Angels, Banditos, Mongols, and most other well-known clubs by over a decade. The club's name came from its original structure: 13 members, 13 rebels, who didn't conform to the growing bureaucracy of the AMA and chose instead to ride on their own terms. They weren't about patch politics, they were about the ride. One of the most legendary members of the 13 Rebels was Wino Willie Faulkner, a key figure in biker history. After riding with the 13 Rebels, he went on to found the Booze Fighters Motorcycle Club in 1946, another iconic outlaw club that helped shape what we now call 1%er culture. Now let's talk about the 13 and a half Diamond Patch. Cliff, founder and national president of Red Rum MC, created the 13 and a half Diamond Patch for Red Rum MC, a Native American outlaw motorcycle club. The 13 and a half patch means 12 jurors, 1 judge, and half the chance. That's what the courts give you when you're facing time. The system isn't built for justice, it's built for control. That phrase didn't start with clubs. It came straight out of prison slang, born from real experiences in courtrooms and cells. Now, if you're an everyday biker not in a club, they will wear the 13, M meaning Mary Jane, motorcycle, meth. I've heard many different ones. The number 13 means a lot of things in the biker world, but none of it is random. In the clubs that built this life from the ground up, whether it's tied to a club's birth, a mother chapter's legacy, time behind walls, or scars you don't talk about. From outlaw races tearing up SoCal back roads to the prison yards that gave birth to the 13 and a half patch. So the next time you see a 13 patch, you know one of the 80 meanings it could stand for. And thank you for tuning in to Demons Road TV, the holy grail of MC culture. Like, subscribe, and comment. And oh yeah, we ghosting, baby.
Oh.